He rode the Mississippi River boats, learned about cards and gambling. And it's indicated that he got into some kind of trouble in New Orleans and returned to home in Kentucky. He had two brothers, Sam and Joshua. And they got hooked into a wagon train and went west. They took the southern route. When they crossed the Rio Grande, Sam and Roy went south into Mexico, Chihuahua City. They established a trading post, and as you might guess, a saloon. Sam hauled freight on the Chihuahua Trail. And Roy became quite a ladies' man. And I quote this: a rival gamecock challenged him to a duel. Well, Roy killed him. So Sam and Roy had to leave Mexico. They headed for California. Sam stopped in New Mexico. Roy went on into California, San Diego, to be with his brother Joshua. Joshua was the first mayor of San Diego. Well, Roy did his thing, and a Scotchman challenged him to a duel on horseback. And Roy was to pick the weapons, so he picked pistols. So they had this big deal. Roy didn't get hit, but the Scotchman named Collins had a leg wound. Well, the authorities put them both in jail. Roy was there 2 months. And as I'm telling you, he's a ladies' man. The ladies brought him wine, tamales, cigars, and they hid some knives in some tamales. Roy dug his way out of jail. The next we hear him, he's in San Gabriel, California. And he gets involved with a Mexican officer's girlfriend. And he challenged the Mexican to a duel. And he killed him. Well, 6 of the Mexican officer's friends grabbed him, put him on a horse, tied a noose around his neck, hung it up over a tree, and left. Well, fortunately, the horse didn't move. And his ex-girlfriend cut him loose. So he thought it was time to leave California. He stopped at in New Mexico, be with Sam for a while. Sam became sheriff. About that time, the Civil War was going on. And he went to San Antonio. And he hauled cotton in New Mexico to be put on a British ship at Matamoros. And he'd bring supplies back into the San Antonio area. So after the war, he was looking for gainful employment. So He started with firewood. But he went on his neighbor's land and cut some of his neighbor's timbers. Well, that didn't work. And he got into the dairy business and got a dairy going. He couldn't leave well enough alone. He started watering the milk. Well, somebody found a tadpole swimming around. Roy said, well, those darn cows have been drinking out of the river again. Well, while in San Antonio, he married a Spanish lady, and it was kind of a rocky marriage. Thank you, Eddie. And they had 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. Well, about this time, he heard about the railroads moving west. He wound up in a saloon. He sold all his business, bought a big tent and some booze, and went down to the railroad construction camps. The first one was Vinegar Room. And it was named after a scorpion that, when alarmed, emitted a vinegar-like odor. So he's in this railroad construction camp, and Captain Oglesby from the Texas Rangers came down to visit the camp. And this was his report. He said, the camp is full of roughs, gamblers, robbers, and pickpockets. So we need a JP here to kind of handle some of this. And the application opened up, and sure enough, Roy got the job. The first thing he did was shoot up a rival saloon's tent. Then the camp moved to a place called Eagle's Nest, which later became Langtree. When the railroad was building a bridge over the Rio Grande, 10 people fell. And he was called to do the work, look into, they needed somebody to check the inquest. So he comes over on his mule, and he declares all 10 dead. Well, 3 weren't. And when questioned, he said, well, those 3 will die, and I didn't want to make the trip twice. So now he's at Langtree, and he put in a wooden building and called it Jersey Lil after the actress whom he never met, but he invited her to come, and she did come about a year after he died and stopped for a visit. Well, he had a pet bear. Didn't want to make it. Bear's name was Sarsaparilla. The bear liked beer. And the bear would get challenged by some of the customers. And Roy sold a bottle of beer for $1, which was a pretty good price. So the bear brought in quite a bit of income. One day, he didn't explain this, but there was a cowboy found dead. Roy noticed he had 40 bucks on him. So he claimed the corpus was carrying a concealed weapon and charged him 40 bucks. So well, the train would stop at Langtree to get water. And a lot of people would get off and go to the bar. And they put some money up on the bar. And Roy was a little reluctant to make change. So he kept fiddling around with one thing or another. Pretty soon, the whistle would blow, and the guy told people had to get on the train, so he made extra money that way. But one day, a salesman came to town. Went into the bar, ordered beer, put a $20 gold piece on the counter. Roy didn't give him any change. He protested. And Roy charged him for disturbing the peace. Just the amount of what he owed him for the $20 gold piece. Well, that was kind of a bad mistake because the salesman never forgot that. About 6 months later, salesman comes through Langtree and stops and wants to know where Judge Bain is. And he said, well, he's in San Antonio. So
Thank you.
he hatches this plan. He goes to San Antonio and he found Judge Roy Bean in the Gunter Hotel. I didn't know they had one back then. Anyway, they proceeded to have some beers, and the judge asked him where he'd been. He said, well, I've been to El Paso. And he said, did you stop at Langtree? And the salesman said, well, yes, I did. Everything there? He said, yeah, good. So they had some more beer, and he said, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you this. Sarsaparilla died. He said, as a token of our friendship, I would like to have the skin. And Roy agreed to that, and he said, well, let's go and send a telegram. So they went to the telegraph office and sent a telegram and said, Sam, I guess, was his man Friday back at Langtree. He said, well, Sam, skin sarsaparilla and send the hide to this guy up in San Antonio. Now, Sam eventually got back to Langtree from San Antonio. And he looked up Sam. He said, Sam, what happened to sarsaparilla? And oh, he died of buckshot. What do you mean he died of buckshot? He said, you didn't want me to skin him alive, did you? He continued in Langtree, and at this time he's really quite old. He lived to be 78. He died in 1903. His last days, according to what I read, he got into the hooch pretty bad, and just kind of passed